Lesson 26, area of rectangles and triangles. Right, so before we get into that, we need to know what the area formulas are, right? So area of rectangles and squares is going to be length times width. So it's your bottom times your side, right? So length times width. And your area formula for triangles is 1/2 your base times height. So your height goes from the tallest point of your triangle straight down. Your height is not a curved edge. If you have numbers on these diagonals, you don't want to use those because they are not your height. Okay, so height goes straight down and base is across the bottom. So 1/2 base times height. All right, so now we know our formulas, so let's get going here. We want to know what is the area of the following figure in square inches. So notice how this question wants us to determine our answer in inches, but here we have feet, and here we also have feet. So that means before I multiply my length times width, I need to change those feet into inches. So to do that, well, there are 12 inches in 1 foot. So I would take 4/3 and multiply it by 12. And we can use a calculator to help with this. So I would have 4/3 times 12, and that gives me 16. So that tells me that these side lengths here, this is 16 inches and this is 16 inches. So now since I have all the same units, I can do my multiplication. So to multiply these two, I'm going to take this 16 and multiply it by 15. And again, use a calculator to help you out, make it a bit faster. So 16 times 15, it gives me 240. So this would be 240 inches squared. That would be the area of this rectangle. Alright, next one. So we want to know what is the area of the following figure in square feet. Okay, well, I mean, if I look, I'm given inches, so I know that whatever my answer is, I'm going to have to do some division to get it to go from inches to feet. So let's start with our area formula, which is 1/2 base times height. So this 14 is my height, and this 20 down here is going to be my base. So I'm going to have 1/2 times 20 times 14. And let's type this into our calculator. So 1/2, whoops, not 1/5, 1/2 times 20 times 14 gives me 140. So if this is 140 inches squared, to take that and go to feet, we'd need to divide it by 12. Actually, so I just remembered something very important. That is why we can't do it this way, actually. So the reason why we can't do it this way is because once we multiply these two numbers together, I no longer just have inches, I have inches squared because I multiplied inch by inch. So what we'd have to do first actually is convert this 14 and this 20 to feet. And it makes a difference in the end because we're going from inches squared to square feet, but we didn't start with the square feet. So let's start by converting these first. So that means that we need to take 14 and divide it by 12 because there are 12 feet in, or 12 inches in 1 foot. And let's do 20 divided by 12. Alright, so I get 7/6 and 5/3. So I'm going to multiply these into my formula with this calculator. So that's my base and height. So I'm going to do 1/2 times base times height. Oops, I accidentally hit enter. And then times 5/3. And this gives me 0.972 repeating. I can change it to a fraction, but I think the question wants us to leave it as a decimal. So I did 1/2 times 7 over 6 times 5 over 3, and that gave me 0.97. So 0.97, and this would be feet squared. So when you are asked a question that, this should say area. When you're asked a question that gives you a specific end unit, want to make sure that you're starting with that unit as well. So here we needed feet, so we need to change both of these into feet. Okay, so this needed to change to feet, and this needed to change to feet as well. Okay, so now we have some composite figures, and with composite figures, we need to find the area of each one separately and then add them together. And this bottom square, or rectangle I should say, we should already know the area of, because we found that on our first example, right? The bottom is 16 and the height is 15. And if I look, I had 16 and 15 here. So this bottom area of that square is 240. So now all I need to do is figure out what the area of this top triangle is. So I need to do 1/2 base times height. Well, I know that my height is 5, but I don't know what my base is because there's no number here. However, if I look straight down, there is a 16 here, and since this is a rectangle, that means that this top side is also 16. So I would have 1/2 times 16 times 5. So 1/2 times 16 times 5, which gives me 40. Whoops. So that means that the area of this triangle is 40. So the area of my rectangle is 240, plus the area of my triangle, that is 40, which would give me 280. So the area of this figure would be 280 units squared, because I don't know what my units are. I just have numbers. Alright, next question. A parallelogram is made up of a rectangle with a base of 12 centimeters and a height of 5 centimeters, and two triangles with a base of 2 and a height of 5. Jeremy calculates the area of the of the parallelogram by multiplying the base and height of the rectangle to get 60 centimeters squared. Is Jeremy's answer correct? Why or why not? Alright, let's see. So he has this parallelogram that's made up of a rectangle and these two triangles. Say it looks something like this. And he says that the area of this parallelogram is 60. And if this is 12 and 5, and this right here would be 2, 5 times 12 gives me 60, so that's only the area of the center. So no, it's not correct because he forgot to add in the area of the triangles. He didn't do that, he just only focused on the center, but he forgot about the two triangles attached to it as well. Hilda is putting new tile in an area in her home. Part of the space is a rectangular with a length of 10 feet and a width of 6 feet. Okay, so I'm going to draw a picture because I think pictures are always easier. So let's see, it was length of 10 and width of 6. And part of the space is a triangle with a base of 4 and a height of 2. How many square feet will Hilda need to cover the space? Okay, so she's putting new tile. Part of the space is a rectangle, and then the other part of the space is this triangle with a base of 4 and a height of 2. So we need to know how much square feet she needs to cover. Okay, well let's just find the area of both of these spaces. So area of this rectangle would be 10 times 6, which is 60. So 60 is here. Area of my triangle would be 1/2 base times height. So 1/2 times 2 times 4. 1/2 times 8. So 1/2 times 8 would be 4. So if I add 60 plus 4, I get 64 feet squared. So she would need 64 feet squared pieces of tile to cover her area. Francine bought a TV that is 31 inches tall and 57 inches wide. She's going to mount it on her living room wall. The wall is 8 feet wide and 9 feet tall. How many square inches of the wall will not be covered once the TV is mounted? Okay, so first let's imagine this wall. Okay, so we have this wall in a room. It's fairly big. It's 9 by 8. This is feet, keep in mind. Notice how we're asked inches, which means we're going to have to change those eventually. And then she has this TV mounted on it, and the TV is 31 by 57 inches. So let's start by multiplying 8 and 9 by 12 to get inches. So 9 times 12 will give me 108, which means that this bottom side will be 108 inches. And 8 times 12 should give me 96, which means that it is 96 inches tall. So what we would need to do here is figure out the area of her TV and then figure out the area of the wall and then subtract them, because I want to know what area is not going to be covered. So that's everything around the TV that is not included. Okay, so let's bring back our calculator since we're multiplying some bigger numbers here. Let's do area of the TV, so 57 times 31, and then area of her wall, so 108 times 96. So the area of her wall is 10,368, and we're going to subtract that from the area of the TV, and when we subtract that, we get 8,601. So 8,601 inches squared is the free space on the wall that will not be covered by her TV. So again, we took the wall area and we subtracted it from the TV area to get the remaining area, which is all this that I have kind of squiggled all over. Alright, so that is it for lesson 26. If you have other questions or would like some extra help, please let me know. Have a great rest of your day.